Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of BSing Sports here on the BSing Network, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. As always, I would like to say thank you to Orphan Rivers for the intro music that you provided me. If you have not checked out Orphan Rivers, he is on Bandcamp. Please check him out. Give him a like. Tell him in the comments that BSing Sports sent you over there. Who knows? But anyway, this is our Eagles recap show after the huge win over the Buffalo Bills, 37-34. With me on my recap shows, as is the last few weeks, is my boy Kyle. Kyle, how we doing today?
How you doing?
Good.
Feeling pretty good after that win, actually.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, absolutely feeling pretty good. You're talking the Buffalo Bills put up 505 total yards, and the Eagles still win. Josh Allen, 4 total touchdowns, and the Eagles still win. Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs combined for almost 200 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, and the Eagles still win. Which brings us into our next thing. Kyle had this great topic to talk about, and I'm glad we haven't talked about it until right this second so we can get each other's natural reactions. Reanalyzing analytics. Kyle, take it away, buddy.
All right. So I guess my idea here is just looking at a lot of the the Eagles defense specifically, right? Obviously, in that game, in the first half, the Bills outplayed our defense quite considerably, right? And our offense
Almost definitely.
at the same time, right?
Almost definitely.
We couldn't convert a third down, right? But basically, I guess what I'm getting at is I think we need to start reevaluating, like, all this criticism against Jalen Hurts and the mistakes he's making, and even our defense, right? Like, even though our defense wasn't playing that well in the first half, our defense was able to get a pick that was, just a perfect pick at the time. I mean, Jalen Carter had a blocked field goal. I mean, like, how often do you see that happen?
Yeah, the thing you said before the show started was, like Eagles are relatively middle of the pack on a lot of statistical areas. So analytics would tell you that the Eagles defense is mid. But what you said to follow it up with is they're making big plays when they need to make big plays.
Yeah.
And that's just, I'm going to say it flat. That's the clutch gene. They're all coming up clutch when they need to be clutch.
Jake the Make.
Yeah, Jake the Make. I mean, listen, that's a pretty solid.
Everybody had some. I mean, not everybody, but I mean, like, it felt like everyone had huge plays. Jalen Carter had a huge play. I mean, he had tons of huge plays, actually. But
yeah, he and Jordan Davis.
Jordan
really
Davis.
In the second
my
half.
God. Getting up to what did they clock him? It was like 18 miles an hour?
16.8 miles an hour at 368 pounds or whatever the man weighs.
Yeah.
Absolutely unheard of. The dude is a beast.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brandon Graham doesn't do much.
Yeah.
Most of the game, clutch sack there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like, it's these players. James Bradbury has looked god awful all season. Perfectly reads and baits Josh Allen into the throw that he gets the interception on. This team has the clutch gene as a whole. And I think they feed off of Jalen Hurts. A few weeks ago, you and I talked about this. He sits on the sideline. Don't matter. Jake Elliott just kicks that 59-yard field goal in the pouring rain to send you to overtime. And Jalen Hurts had the exact same expression on his face as he had going into halftime when they were down by 10 points. The rest of the team feeds off of this, right? Like
yeah, exactly. I think you're 100% hitting the nail on the head right there. I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, let's bring it up. Ken Brandt says the talking on the coin toss. Buffalo obviously wins the coin toss in overtime.
That don't mean nothing.
They received the football. Brandon Graham immediately in the microphone. That don't mean nothing. We still go.
You don't know Jalen Hurts like I know Jalen Hurts.
That's exactly right. You don't know Jalen like I know Jalen. Yeah. The whole team is feeding. And listen, some of this goes back to Nick Sirianni and the absolute arrogance that he walks around with. The balls on that dude, I'm telling you. He just walks around with the swagger that he knows they're the best team in football. He knows that they can beat anybody on one of their good days. The funny thing is they're getting ugly wins, but they're doing it so consistently that you have to look at the team and be like, this might be who they are. They're going to come out slow in the first half. They're going to see what the opposing team is doing to them.
Yeah.
They're going to adjust and beat you in the second half.
Yeah, they're definitely a second half team.
Yeah, here's 100%. The thing is the Bills, you're talking with overtime, the Bills scored 17 points. Not like the Chiefs didn't score any points. The Bills, in addition to being up 10 points at halftime, scored 17 points, and the Eagles in the fourth quarter put up 17, and then obviously the rushing touchdown in overtime to win it. the endurance, the fortitude, the absolute I don't give a shit what the score is attitude out of the Philadelphia Eagles is so damn inspiring. Listen, Ryan and I were watching this shit show of that first half in the beginning, together at my house, on Sunday, and we looked at each other at halftime, and Ryan said, and he's 100% right. He said, "If they win this game, how bad do they have to play to lose?" A and that's a hell of a question. You're talking you beating the Chiefs and the Bills, 2 legitimate teams. I know the Bills' record doesn't show that right now, but 2 good teams,
Mm.
uh, in back-to-back weeks after trailing by 10 points at halftime. How bad do you have to be to lose?
Yeah, well, I think part of the problem with the Eagles is like that they're actually like playing up to their competition right now, right? Like, so I mean,
Or
it's a
down
good
to?
thing and a bad thing. Yeah, playing down
Yeah.
or up to their competition, right? It seems to be all over. Like with that, the Bills game. I mean, Josh Allen had a pretty phenomenal game himself. Other than a couple of mistakes here and there. I mean, I guess it's going to happen when you're throwing the ball 51 times,
Yeah,
but
29 to 51, 339, 2 touchdowns passing, 2 rushing touchdowns, obviously the 1 interception that we've already talked about. But yeah, Josh
yeah.
Allen played great.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think maybe that could be a big difference, right? Like, it's the fact that maybe they were getting a little more desperate than we were at times, you know?
So Ryan and I had, I was working Sunday morning. So, I work, my second job is I work at a brewery. I bartend. When Ryan was there in the morning and we were talking about the game coming up, and he said, if we lose this game, it's not a big deal. They're an AFC opponent.
Yeah,
It means nothing
yeah,
if we lose this
exactly.
game. We have to beat the Niners and we
Mm,
have to beat the Cowboys, but they beat the Bills. So I'm going to sit here and say they only need to beat the Niners or the Cowboys, and they will still be the 1 seed. And I will say that confidently. Um, but we'll get into the Niners stuff later. Obviously, they play them this week. Ryan did if you guys haven't checked it out yet, Ryan did a show last night, with our buddy over at TED Talks Ball, from San Francisco, a behind the lines type situation, behind enemy lines situation, and
mm.
they did a really great job last night on that episode. Um, a lot of trash talk from Niners fans I noticed in the comments when I was watching it today, but it's all right. It's all right. Ryan handled it like a champ. I would have probably chirped back a little bit, but Ryan handled it like a champ. Um, but yeah, so I just can't get. I just like want to keep reiterating big plays when you need it most. Jalen
Yeah,
Hurts
exactly.
barely used his legs, for most of the game. Well, not most of the game. He did run for 65 yards on 14 carries, obviously, and again the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 14
But
carries, that's insane, actually.
yeah,
That's a
it,
lot.
it which I know. I mean, we haven't seen him run that many times since like
Mm,
week 3 of this season. So like
yeah.
it was good to see. It felt like a little closer to vintage Jalen Hurts. He's looking a little
Mm.
bit better. Um, and it just goes to show like this again, it goes back to Nick Sirianni on some level, but also Jalen Hurts and his poise and his leadership. They don't care if they're down.
Mm.
They don't. They're going to find a way to win. They trust in that locker room that they are going to find on that sideline that they are going to find a way to win. They don't care who the opponent is. They don't care where they're at. They were in Arrowhead last week. They did it. Um, and now you're talking. They've beaten the Dolphins 8-3. They've beaten the Chiefs 8-3. They've beaten the Bills. I get it 6-6, but they're a better team than their record dictates. They beat
Yeah.
Dallas eight
Oh,
and
yeah,
three.
definitely.
Like at what point does the NFL finally like look at the Philadelphia Eagles? Okay, so they're ugly wins. I don't give a shit. How many wins do they have? They've got 10. No one else has 9.
Well, I think that's part of the I mean, see, the only thing I guess I could still complain about even now with the Eagles is I just don't understand like why they're not establishing the run game
Oh,
early.
they did on Sunday though. Not in the first
Well,
drive. I will admit the first we can get into actually
I just don't
we're
think
gonna
they established the dominance of the run game in the way that they needed to. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't enough fear in the defense for us running the ball. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you could get those easier passes off. You know what I mean?
I
Those
do.
easier.
DeAndre Swift has 14 carries for 80 yards. Kenny Gainwell 2 for 26. Boston
Mm,
Scott 2 for 14. Obviously, DeAndre Swift has that really big 36-yard run in overtime that leads to the Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown.
mm,
And that one, let's talk about that specific play, the DeAndre Swift run. Right, he gets the ball. He's supposed to go off tackle towards the right side. sees there's nothing there, makes a super intelligent read, comes back behind Jalen Hurts and runs for 36 yards. The vision of this guy reminds me a little bit of LaShawn McCoy. I'm not going to lie to you. Ryan has said it a few times. I'm starting to see it. The vision that he has is really good. Now, he doesn't always make the right decisions. Neither did JD. But he's got such great vision as a running back in that offense, especially in that offense, knowing that the left side of your line right now with Lane Johnson injured is the better part of it. He just went to the stronger side. There ain't nothing wrong with that. And then he got 36 yards out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, DeAndre Swift again on the season, 161 attempts, 770 yards, four touchdowns. Fantastic. Jalen Hurts stats on the season. On the game, he went 18 for 31. It's only 58%. That's not really that good. However, in the second half, he was significantly better. You know, he had a perfect QBR in the second half, 158.3. Perfect QBR in the second half. Throws for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. The 1 interception, he runs for 2 touchdowns. A total of, because in the first half, he only had a 7 QBR, 96.2 QBR. On the season, just about 68% completion percentage, 2,700 yards, 18 passing, 11 rushing, 10 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles, 94.9 quarterback rating. Let me ask you this.
Hmm?
Let me ask you this.
What's
Is
up?
Jalen Hurts the MVP right now?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I see, like, I look at it like this, right? I think I was overly critical of Jalen Hurts earlier in the season,
Almost
and I
definitely.
will openly admit that. And I think that I will take Seth Joyner's advice and I will start believing in this man. But at the same time, I also don't want to give him too much praise. I think he actually needs the negativity. I think he feeds off of the negativity. I think that's
Oh,
what
yeah.
makes him great. He doesn't listen to it, even when Brian Johnson's screaming whatever he was screaming in his face, and he's rolling his eyes at him. He's not paying attention to it. He's just worried about the game and the next drive, and he's just like, I love the fact that you can't defeat Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts takes that and he uses that as fuel some way, right? And that's what makes him so great.
So I saw an interview when he decided, he announced that he was going to, do the combine and go join the NFL. He was doing a interview with somebody. I forget who it was with. And the guy was like, "How many games have you lost in college?" And Jalen Hurts had to think about it. He says, "I think I lost 4." And the interviewer goes, "Well, that's not going to happen in the NFL." And Jalen Hurts' response was, "We'll see." Jalen Hurts is 30-4 in his last 34 games.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, what he's doing is fantastic. Ken Brandt says, to Kyle's point about like the negativity, it makes him better.
Exactly.
Ken, thanks for joining in again, boss. So we're gonna do a new segment here. I'm going to grade out each position and the coaching staff. Kyle's going to give me his opinions on whether he thinks it should be higher or lower, and that's how we're going to play this game. So let's go into our new segment of grades. Obviously, we will start on the offensive side of the football. You had a late scratch from Lane Johnson. Let's start with the offensive line. You had a late scratch of Lane Johnson. So on the right side of the line, you had Cam Jurgens and
Jack Driscoll.
Thank you. I just totally blanked on his name. Yes, Jack Driscoll.
I
And
had
honestly,
that guy mad, and he's only 80.
outside of the first 2 drives, I honestly think Jack Driscoll did a pretty good job. They were running his way. He gave some solid protection. Gave up a sack. It's gonna happen.
His drop back step was so nice. It actually looked like
a little bit
Johnson.
like it did. Yeah. So here's what the Eagles did wrong on a coaching standpoint for Jack Driscoll. He's a run blocking tackle.
Mm-hmm.
You threw the ball the first 3 plays of a damn game. That's a mistake. You need to establish the run on the first play of the game. Let Jack Driscoll, who hasn't played a lot this season, jump off the ball and hit somebody. Don't put him back on his heels where he's likely going to get beat. And he did. That's a coaching error. That's not a Jack Driscoll error. I'm going to give the offensive line a B. I think I saw Ken Brandt put that in there as well. Because again, at some point in the second half, they locked it down. They got it squared up. Jalen Hurts had more time in the pocket. They rushed for more yards. But again, rushing in this game, 145, 185 rushing yards. That's not a pushover stat. 185 yards is huge on the ground.
Especially the yards per carry.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have the yards per carry in front of me, but I'm
Well,
looking at it.
yeah.
So 7 out of Scott, 13 per carry out of Gainwell,
Yeah.
6 something out of Jalen, and
I mean, with those
6
numbers, why
something
didn't
out
they
of,
get
yeah.
more carries? I don't get it, man.
Because once you were down 10 points in the second half, you had to do stuff to minimize the deficit. So throwing the ball is
I
obviously
mean,
the easy
even
way
in
to
the
do that.
first half, though. I mean, see, that's the reason why the Bills lost that game. The biggest reason is because we gave them what, like 6 turnovers, and they didn't do crap with it. Like,
They got 2 turnovers, but you're talking turnovers on down as well. In the first half,
well,
they
not I
had the
mean, not
ball
turnovers. We turned the ball over to them like 6. Like we lost possession like 6 times, right, or something. Like, how many times did they get the ball back? It
in
was
the
a
first
lot.
in the first half. The Eagles had the 1 touchdown drive and then 5 either actual turnovers, so like the fumble and the interception, or just turnover on downs, or punts rather.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so
Was it 5 or
I think it was
4?
5 in the first.
Okay,
That's
5.
just the
Yeah,
first half.
that's
That's
but dude, they should have put
yeah.
us out there.
They
Yeah,
that's the
5
that's why
possessions.
that's that's why when I get to my defensive score, it's going to be higher than I think a lot of people understand. Like, and I want to explain all of that.
Yeah.
So again, offensive line, I'm going with a B. Second, let's do the running backs again. 185 yards. I realize that 65 of it is Jalen Hurts, but still 120 out of your running backs. That obviously feeds off of the offensive line. It also counts the long 36-yard run for DeAndre Swift in overtime. I'm going to give the running attack with Jalen Hurts. Obviously, I'm going to give them a B plus. Again, 185 yards is nothing to slouch at. I would have
Dude,
liked to have seen.
I would say they were A, man. Honestly, I think
I would
because
like to.
14 of those attempts went to Hurts, right?
I know, but I would like to see more designed runs to your running back. Right.
Well,
So
that's the coaching,
You're
right?
relying. I know.
Wait.
I'm gonna get to
Oh,
the
so we're
coaching.
going by the coaching of the. Okay, I get you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to the coaching.
I got you.
Execution by the players right now is what I'm going on. And again, I
Really?
would go B plus. I would go B plus. Execution was solid. It really was. I'd still
Hmm.
like to see, DeAndre Swift on 14, 15 carries get closer to the 100 mark, and not need a super long run to do it. Because he got, again, without that 36, hypothetically, he goes 5 yards on that last one. He goes 14 for 50 yards, and that's not a good number.
Hmm.
So I would like to see DeAndre Swift execute just a little bit better. But again, vision, he's got it. So I'm going to go B plus on running back. Go to the wide receivers. Outside of Devontae Smith, not very good, except for an Alamadeus Zacchaeus. Brilliant catch in the back of the end zone in the fourth quarter on, yeah, exactly. Jalen Hurts points him deep. He listens, goes deep, and Jalen puts it on him. And
Get open.
yeah, great catch. So Alameda Zacchaeus, you in and of yourself get an A. Devontae Smith, you get an A. Rest of the receiving, AJ Brown was targeted 9 times, only caught the ball 5 times, 37, 1 touchdown. I'm going to go B minus on the receiving staff. They didn't do a lot to help Jalen in the first half. There were a couple of drops, mostly by AJ. The tight ends, which I'll get into here in a second, didn't contribute at all. And the running backs in their few attempts weren't super effective at gaining extra yards. So wide receivers, I'm going B minus.
I don't understand why. This is actually one of the things I wanted to ask you about the offensive line. Why don't we bolster our line with tight ends? Why don't we do that?
We don't have, outside of Dallas
Like
Goedert,
blocking.
we don't actually have blocking tight ends. Jack
Why?
Stahl is technically
We
a
don't use them
receiving.
for routes either. It's so dumb.
They did a good job in the second half of leaving Jack Stahl over top of Jack Driscoll. I don't know if you saw it watching the second half of that game, but
Yeah,
part of the
yeah,
reason
yeah.
part of the reason Jalen Hurts had more time is because they specifically used Jack Stahl on that side of the line.
Dude, Jack Stahl was looking kind of nice in that game. I'm not gonna lie.
He
Dude.
was
He was
listen.
looking kind of nice in that game.
He was doing a good job. You know what he did a really good job of is corner blitz pickups.
Yeah.
Because the Bills like to blitz their corners. He did a really good job at corner blitz pickup. So again, B minus for wide receiver. You only get 1 reception out of your tight ends this game, so the score is not going to be good. But as you and I were just talking about, the blitz pickup from Jack Stahl, I thought was fantastic. So I will still give them a C because of that. But 1 reception for 2 yards.
Is that their fault or is that the coach?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 1 reception.
Them...
1 reception for 14 yards. My apologies. Um, listen, it's probably got a lot to do with Jalen Hurts not super trusting the new guys, right? They're not Dallas Goddard. Now it
But he
sounds like
wasn't
Dallas
even really throwing it to Goddard that much either, though. I
Goddard
mean, how
Goddard
many receptions
Goddard
all
had
year does Goddard have?
Goddard had started to get into the fold a lot more.
He was starting
Um,
to get into the fold more. But it was kind of puzzling to understand why it took so long.
I agree.
Like, because
On the
the ball
season,
really does need to be spread out more. It really
I
does.
I and you lose the reason they're be able to the last 2 weeks teams have been able to take AJ Brown out of the game is because Dallas Goddard's not on the field, and I'm very convinced of it.
Yeah.
So 38 receptions on the season, 410 yards, 2 touchdowns, 10.8 is his average yards per catch. That is Dallas Goddard.
Honestly, I feel like I'd be running so many RPOs with this team. I don't understand why we're not running more. It's really weird.
I would agree that there should be more RPOs with this team. I'm a little
There's
disappointed
so
again in the
much
play
they could
calling.
do with that.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the Brian Johnson, but let's go to Jalen Hurts at quarterback. Listen, first half you get an F minus F in the first half. Second half you give me an A++, homie. Good for
Yeah, he
you.
looked like a legendary quarterback at the end. I mean, even the way he ended the game, the walk off, he's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
number one.
But because he played so bad in the first half, I'm gonna give
Yeah,
him a B. He's only gonna get a B out
yeah,
of me.
C
But
plus maybe.
because he again that freaking clutch gene, man. It's just like unbelievable, remarkable, amazing clutch gene that this guy has. Comes out of halftime, goes 3 and out on the first drive, and then after that, he's like, "Oh, you know what? On second thought, I think I want to play football tonight," and that's it.
You know what? When I die, bury me in my Jalen Hurts jersey, and I might just come back.
That's good. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
uh,
I stole that from some dude on Twitter.
all right. So Brian Johnson, offensive coordinator, C minus. And I think that's being generous. You have two playmakers in AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. You have a playmaker in DeAndre Swift. You could even argue that
Yeah.
Alamadeus Zacchaeus has been effective in his targets. You are struggling to move the football, and you decide to throw a wide receiver bubble screen to 80-year-old Julio Jones.
80. He's not
What the
80.
hell is that play call?
I don't know what the hell that play call was.
Now, I will say this. Speaking as an offensive-minded individual, I played quarterback when I was younger. I'm offensive-minded. I get that those screenplays draw the linebackers in so you can beat them over top, and it worked. I hate the screenplay.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing that I don't understand is that, like, the way that the play was set up, right? The positioning of Julio, it doesn't give him an opportunity to go anywhere with the ball when he gets it.
Yeah, if they're playing press coverage on the outside, you need to check to something else. You can't
Yeah.
you can't do a bubble screen when they're pressing your wide receivers at the line because if the guy
Yeah.
backs up, the guy's just going to move with him. So again,
Yeah.
foolish. So again, C minus for Brian Johnson because again they came back and won. They put up what is it? They put up 724, 30 points in the second half, including overtime. That's a pretty good number. 30 points in the second half.
Mm. It's
Moving over to the
almost
defense.
Tom Brady like.
Moving over to the defensive side of the ball. Struggled to get pressure on Josh Allen. We'll go with the defensive line first. Struggled to get pressure on Josh Allen in the first half. Really came alive there in the second half. Stuffed the run a lot better. Made Josh Allen be the person who beat you. Which I mean, listen, Josh Allen can do that to a lot of teams. Josh Allen can beat teams. But you took the running attack essentially away, and you forced Josh Allen to be quicker getting the ball out, which led to the turnover. So I'm going to give the defensive line a B minus. I kind of would looking for more sacks. Hassan Reddick wasn't really involved until that really questionable no horse collar call tackle.
Yeah, we need more sacks in general. We're like I don't even know if I don't even think we're mid
we
tier
are
in sacks.
seventh. We are seventh in the league. Going into the game, we had 29. And Buffalo was second in the
What,
league with
sacks?
32. Yeah,
Do we really? Are you sure?
yeah. Going into that game, we had 29. Yep, I'm looking at the
Oh, I'm thinking
season
that
stats.
I'm thinking interceptions.
Oh, we don't have a lot of
We're
those at
good on
all.
sacks. We're good on sacks. Our interceptions are what we need to work on, I think.
We
I
we
think
do
we
in
might be
fact
mid-tier.
we do in fact need turnovers, way more
Yeah.
turnovers. I would have 1,000% agree there. So again, B minus for the defensive line. Now again, Fletcher Cox gets hurt middle of the game. Milton Williams was already hurt coming in, so they didn't play him. He couldn't clear concussion protocol. All these things are taking a factor. I do like that they released Derek Barnett and then Nolan Smith saw a lot of time. I like that a lot. Nolan Smith is a young guy. You drafted, you put some draft capital in him. You drafted him 31st overall this year.
Something like that. Yeah. 32nd, 31st.
He is. The dude's got to play. He's a first round defensive lineman. Put him on the field, but you were playing Derek Barnett in hopes that you could trade him, and then you couldn't. So you released him, which honestly, respect. Get rid of him. But we'll always have the fumble recovery in the Super Bowl, Derek. But outside of that, you've been pretty useless and a penalty fiend. So goodbye.
Penalty fiend. Yeah, big time. Actually.
Yeah, 100%.
That's like the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. Let's move to the linebackers. Nick Morrow, Zach Cunningham start the game. Zach Cunningham gets hurt right after halftime. Then we get Christian Ellis, who I hope never has to play another snap.
What? Really? I thought Christian Ellis did pretty good.
He didn't get smoked, I will say that, but he didn't really play well. Nick Morrow played really, really well, and Cunningham was playing well up until the point that he got injured. But Christian Ellis literally blows through the C gap and misses an easy sack on Josh Allen late in the fourth quarter, which could have possibly ended the game there. But he just didn't. He ran right past the C gap instead of setting up in the C gap.
And Allen. So was that him? He was the one that missed the leg. He just nipped his leg or something.
No, that was Blankenship after Ellis missed the tackle in the hole.
Oh, because I thought
Blankenship just missed it.
I thought it was Hassan Reddick that almost.
Just
barely missed him.
No.
Okay.
But no, Ken Brand hit this one right on the head because of the injury and the way Christian Ellis played. I got to give him a C. If I was giving him individual scores, I'd give Nick Morrow a B plus, maybe even A minus, and Zach Cunningham until he went out probably like a B. But yeah, so let's move into the secondary. We'll just do the safeties and corners together. You get an interception out of James Bradbury. Great. Darius Slay, you only heard his name one time. You know what that means? It means he had a great game. Reed Blankenship missed one tackle on the night. Let's talk about Reed Blankenship real quick before I give my grade. The dude's an undrafted free agent, rookie undrafted free agent coming into camp last year, makes the team, has to play because CJ Gardner-Johnson gets hurt, plays really well, earns the starting safety spot. He's not a coverage corner. He's not a ball hawk, but I'll be damned if he's not one of the most sure tackling safeties in football. He missed one tackle, and it was the one to Josh Allen. Because, I mean, let's be honest, Blankenship's like my size now. Well, skinnier than me, and Allen is a monster.
You know, so he reminds me of Blankenship. He reminds me the way he plays. He plays a lot like John Lynch used to play, or whatever.
He does, except he doesn't have John Lynch's size. Yeah, he doesn't have John Lynch's size.
Really? I thought he was bigger than John Lynch.
I would have to look that up, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So corners and safeties. You guys get a B plus out of me. Kevin Byard did a really good job playing in the slot against pretty much anybody they put in there. I know that Gabe Davis went off for 105 yards and a touchdown, and Stephon Diggs is always going to get his. He got 6 receptions for 74 yards, which is actually a low night.
Punk trying to fight fans, right?
No, that was somebody else. That was somebody else.
Sorry,
somebody on the defense. He's probably going to get suspended. He didn't try and fight it. He punched that guy in the mouth.
That's bull crap, dude.
Yeah. So again, I'm gonna go A minus in the secondary. They were left out. They were hung out to dry a bit by the defensive line, not being able to get home. And you can only cover guys for so long. It's the truth of the NFL. It just is what it is.
Exactly.
Sean Desai.
You get tired. It happens.
Yeah, and they were on the. I mean, you're talking. The Bills had the ball for. I forget what the stat was, but I think they had the ball for almost 40 minutes, and the Eagles only had the ball for like 26. Let me see if I can find that stat real quick.
Time of possession.
Yeah, thank you.
40 minutes.
Yeah, 40 minutes to 26 minutes. That's a long time for a defense to be on the phone.
They really had it for 40 minutes. That's nuts.
Oh, I thought you were giving me that answer.
I was joking. Joking.
Let me.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
But I was about to say, that's how do you lose that game?
Let's see if I can find it really quick while I'm sitting here talking. But anyway, while I'm looking for it, Sean Desai. I can't find it. I'm going with an A for Sean Desai. Look, I realized they gave up 34 points. However, he saw that they couldn't stop the rushing attack. They made adjustments. Saw that they were getting beat in wide receiver attack. They made adjustments. The only thing you can't adjust for is Josh Allen. And I mean, listen, we've got Jalen Hurts, so we know it's tough to adjust for a quarterback like that. So what I love about Sean Desai is his ego is not so big that he can go into halftime, realize he's getting his ass kicked, and make an adjustment and come out and look really good. And I like that. Respect. Don't let your ego get in the way of results. The only thing that matters are wins in this league. Sean Desai is getting a B+ out of me. And I think that's a respectable, commendable score. I don't think
I agree with
the
that.
34 points is indicative of how good of a job he did, especially in that overtime drive.
Well,
If
I mean,
Allen
the Bills'
doesn't,
offense is insane. I mean, come on.
yeah, in that overtime drive, if Josh Allen doesn't run twice for 26 yards or whatever it is, their offense doesn't go anywhere. But like I just said, you can't. It's hard to game plan for a guy like Josh Allen or even Jalen Hurts. It's like really difficult to plan for those guys when they're healthy. So I'm going to B+. Sean Desai.
Josh Allen's a tank, dude. The guy's what, 6'4", 250 or something? Like,
I think he's like 235, I think. But yes, 6'6", I think he is.
Yeah, he's
Dude,
huge.
dude's huge. Dude's huge. Nick Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni.
Coach, you're 10-1. That's going to be a big fat A from Bill over here at BSing Sports. You are 10-1. You've beat 3 8-3 teams in the last 3 games you played. I realized they weren't 8-3 until you got through them or whatever, but they are still 3 very good contention playoff teams. You also beat the Miami Dolphins earlier in the year. You're making the right calls when you need to make the right calls on personnel, the coaching, because obviously you're in there at halftime telling them they need to make certain adjustments. You approve the play calls before they go out to the players. And you are 10-1. Nick Sirianni, you get an A from Bill. What would you give him?
I'd give him an A.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. But yeah. You got anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, not really sure. I mean, I was mainly just going to talk about like Jalen Carter's blocked field goal. That was pretty insane. What else was there? So
Yeah,
many
it
just
goes.
crazy big plays that happened in that game. Like,
And again, it always seemed like they happened when the Eagles needed them the most. The blocked field goal. You don't want to go down 13 points before halftime. Blocked field goal is huge. Brandon Graham's sack there in the fourth quarter. You can't afford to not get the football back. Huge, clutch. Jordan Davis is run stuffing in the fourth quarter. Clutch. James Bradbury with the interception.
Yeah,
clutch.
dude. I saw that. I was like, oh my God, he's going to throw it right to him.
Yeah. This is the DNA of a team who, A, wants to play for their coach. So, again, kudos to coach, right? And B, are feeding off of each other and how well they're all playing at any given moment. And if one facet of the team isn't playing super great, the other one's like, we got you. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. We'll square it up. And those are winning pedigrees.
You got to believe in miracles to make them happen, dude.
100%.
I just
I like that a lot.
I
like that a lot. You got to believe in miracles to make them happen. I love it.
I'm sure somebody said that already.
Nah, it's whatever. But
it's mine now.
That's going to do it for us here on BSing Sports, part of the BSing Network, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Thanks for joining us again and have a great night.